Hey, okay, now it's time for doing some listening to me go on and on about multi-dimensional arrays. Yes, dimensional. Okay, so what we saw before when we did this int and etc. Was we made a one-dimensional array. That's a one-dimensional array. It's got one set of square brackets. If I did this, this would be a 2D array, and so on. We can get as many dimensions as we want in here. You see this a lot in machine learning or deep learning when you use tensors, because they're all matrices. And I was like in here trying to do the same things that you do in Python, and it just wasn't that easy because images in Java are very abstracted. But nonetheless, have this little exercise that I hope is going to be fun and definitely grill you on multidimensional arrays. And the thing is, I'm going to load an image. Let's see. Okay, so I made this image viewer class, and it is intended to allow me to show you an image. So I'm going to initialize it. Image viewer. New. You know what I want. I want that. Okay, and in here, I should have made that better, shouldn't I? Because if I made a good job of that. Ooh, also, I didn't do that right. Okay. That should have a proper name. And the difference is when I go to do this now, it's going to tell me what I need to put in there, which is the image name. Okay, the image name is over here. It's a painting from a Mexican artist that I like a lot, called Curio. You'll see it now in a second. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. And I made this image viewer, so I know how it works, and it's kind of intuitive to me, but, well, I'm going to leave this in here for you, so you won't have to do anything anyway. So what should I do? I think I show the image. Let's try that. Image viewer.show. Okay, let's run it. Hey look, an image. This is Curate, isn't it cool? Yes, well you'll be seeing it a whole lot, so you better like it. Okay, now the purpose of what I'm trying to do here is to show you how to manipulate multidimensional arrays. And I chose images because they kind of lend themselves to this, and definitely in other programming languages you use them a lot. So let me see if I can draw some stuff out. Okay, so we have an image. See, there's the sun. All right, an image is made up of pixels, and each pixel has a coordinate. So at this particular place, we've got the coordinate 0, 0. And what that means is that in the x direction, it's at the location 0, and it's at the location 0 in the y direction too. So if you were to picture this as an actual array, you know, it wouldn't be as big as this, but you'd have a whole bunch of teeny tiny little squares, and in each square you'd have a number. And the number would represent the color of that pixel. I'm just going to put little numbers in here because I don't have the time or the energy to write all of that stuff in. But so this, if it was translated into data, might look like that. Yeah, so pretty much each square, so like say if I wanted to refer to this guy, that in the x direction going that way is 0, 1, 2, and in the y direction it's 0. So that's the coordinate of this. Oop, scribbling it out. Now what about the coordinate of this one? Okay, so it's still in the x direction. Start with x, then you do y. In the x direction we've got 0, 1, 2, and then in the y direction we've got 0, 0 is here, and 1 is there. So this one, that 0 right there is at position 2, 1. Okay, now let's make it a little more complicated. Because the way I did this is I want you to really have to thoroughly get into these multi-dimensional arrays. So what I did was each one of these pixels is actually got a color, and a color is represented by three things at RGB. An RGB value is three numbers. So if I had 255, 0, 0, and that was an RGB value, this is very red. That's a complete red, and it has no green and no blue, because the most you can have is 255 and the least you can have is 0. So each of these, that one, and that one, can be at a minimum 0 and at a maximum 255. Okay, so say we wanted to have a color that was super green, then that would be R0, green would be 255, and then say it wanted a little blue, you could put a 10 there. Okay, so how that relates to this is each of the pixels, so I'm going to talk about this little pixel here, each of the pixels has an RGB value stored as an array. So we've got the R number, the G, and the B. I guess I maybe shouldn't have put them as letters because they're actually numbers. Where's the rubber on this thing? I mean the eraser. Ooh, that's going to take me too long. I'm going to make a new one. Alright, so here it is. And then you've got the numbers in here, 0, 10, 4. Okay, and then this is index 0, that's index 1, and then it's index 2, and the representation is that the R, the G, and the B values. Okay, so that's how this thing is going to be set up. And we're going to use this to do some manipulation of the image. Okay. So these are my methods that I made. I've got one that will convert an image to an array. So in goes the image, there. Out comes a three-dimensional array. And then I've got another one called convert to image that takes the three-dimensional array and gives back an image. Alright, so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to get my image and I'm going to convert it to an array. So I want to store that thing, and it's going to be of type three-dimensional int array. So I'll go int and then I'm going to convert to array, and then I want to put the image in there. The image, I know you can get it from image viewer there because it's a parameter over there. I'll fix this up in a minute because this is not properly encapsulated. Okay, so here I have converted my image to a 3D array. And the three dimensions stand for the X, the Y coordinates, and then the RGB values. To fully understand that, you should see what I've done here in order to convert from the image to the three-dimensional array. So I'm iterating through and then getting the RGB values and sticking them in the right indices. Okay, what I'm going to be asking you to do is, once you have this three-dimensional array, is do some cool stuff. Like, we're going to remove the green. We're going to convert it to black and white. And I'm not sure what the other stuff will be, but I do want to show you how it will kind of work. So first we're going to do this stuff. Then you guys are going to manipulate this image as an array to change the stuff in there. I'm not sure if I can show you, but let's see. If I wanted to, now I'm going to let you figure it out. So you're going to use this image as array. You're going to operate on the stuff, and then you're going to complete these exercises that I will properly describe once I've set up the exercise. And then after that, you want to convert it back. So this time we have an array and we're going to convert it to an image. So back out of here, we're going to get an image, and I want it to be image viewer dot image, because I'm going to show the image at the end. Convert to image, and to that I'm going to pass in my image as array. You guys have probably at that point somewhere in here manipulated the image as array, so it's going to show the image as different because the pixels will be different or some stuff will have changed. This should be image viewer equals. Okay, so what I've done is I have converted the image to an array, and then I've converted it from an array back to an image, and then I'm showing the image. So pretty much nothing should happen. Or, I mean, stuff's happening. It should take longer, but I'm still getting the same image. When you do your stuff, you'll be doing stuff like, say you knock out the green. Now, you're not allowed to touch this part, but you might get it to look different. Okay, that's pretty damn awesome. Alright, now you're not allowed to change these methods like I just did. You need to actually operate on the three-dimensional array, go through the pain of learning how to use these things, and it will hurt your brain a little bit, I promise you. Okay, so off you go and start this exercise. I'm actually, you can, if you want to go and start at that now, but I'm actually going to keep going to encapsulate this because we really shouldn't be doing stuff like this. These things ought to be private. Now when I make them private, I'm going to break my code because that should not be allowed. We would usually have a getter and a setter to do that stuff, so I'm going to just generate them over here. The image name's fine. We'll just do getters and setters for the image. And then here I'm going to get image instead of accessing it directly like that. So that one's happy. And then here I'm going to set the image. Like that. Okay, if I didn't talk about encapsulation already, well, I will be talking about it at length at a different point. Did I mess that up? Let's see. No, it's just because I need to save it. Okay, so let's just make sure that everything's still the same. Yes, it is. All right, so I hope you enjoy this exercise in a sadomasochistic kind of a way. And see you in the next lesson. Laters.